Now, Oladele, founder of the Money Wit Club, joins us now to discuss this. Ola, good morning to you. Many thanks for joining us on the show. Well, let's begin with the argument that with, so much technology condensed in the palm of our hands today, inevitably, attention spans are going to be sucked up by these gadgets and devices. What's your take on this?
So I agree. I agree to the extent that, if you are, let's use Lagos as an example, if you're at Ikoyi end of 3rd Mainland and you keep driving straight, at some point you will get a whirl. So if you don't take a detour, you know that's where you're going. So if we don't make those decision changes or those habit changes, that's definitely where we're going.
Right. Now, we saw quite a round of applause for the professor there, but you also have a number of people that have said he's possibly going to the extremes to, appeal to the fears of society in the name of selling his book. What do you think about that?
So emotions always sell. And if it inspires fear in you, then it means that there's something there. So beyond him selling, look at the fear. What is the fear and how are you mitigating that fear? So we can get distracted by the fact that he probably will make some money from his book. But if his book offers solutions to what you are afraid of, then take away that sentiment of him making money and buy the book and learn.
So each to his own take, how it appeals to you on that. All right, we've listed quite a few of his suggestions here, and I want to get your take on each of them. So high school is our, secondary school equivalent in Nigeria, and he says no smartphones until that stage. Do you agree or not with that?
I totally agree. As adults, what do we need our phone for? First thing is to communicate, and the next thing is to access the world, right? For a child, when going to school, you are putting them the safety or responsibility of adults in school. So what do they need the phone for? One, and if at all you want to give them a phone, maybe a phone without internet, if you want to communicate with them, then give them those small phones that have no access to the internet. But at that age, what do they need access to the whole world for? As an adult, you need it for emails, you need to be on social media, for your business and things like that. But for children, they don't really need it. So I totally agree with that.
Right. So now that begs the question of at what age does it become appropriate? So the professor has also said no social media until the age of 16. What do you say to that and why that age?
So I think in developed countries, 16 is like when you can start driving. When you become independent, you probably can get a job, So I think that's why 16 is it. After that point, once the child starts working, you can't control what the child is going to do with their money. So I think that's why he's given that age. However, the principle behind it is push it as far as possible. Why? Teenage years are very sensitive on their own without having access to the internet. As adults, we know that if I'm going to see my friend, I'm not very particular about how I'm looking. But if I want to post a picture on Instagram, I'm going to look at every single detail. I might be finding my friends coming to my house, but I might not be finding posting my house pictures because it might not be up to the social media standard. So for teenagers who are still young, just thinking back at your teenage years and the social pressure and trying to figure yourself out, you don't need the weight of the world on your head to add to it. So as parents, if we can push it, why not?
That's interesting. So you're looking more at the social implications, even at that stage of development, and how a teenager could possibly handle the pressures of that. That's a very interesting one. Now, this next one sounds like it could be a little bit challenging to implement here, and he suggests phone-free schools. What's your take?
Well, I think in Nigeria, phone-free schools is already a thing. Yes, because you dare not bring out your phone. What are you bringing out your phone
But they
for?
do still have their gadgets with them, some of the pupils.
So I think gadgets are different from phones. Right now, schools will probably allow you bring a tablet to school. And I think that's also around digital adoption, which is also good. So we're not trying to throw away the child and the bathwater. Digital adoption is still good. Being able to use devices is good. But I think that unlimited, uncontrolled, on your own access to the internet is what the issue is. If you're using your tablet in school, it probably would have some specific apps on it that are going to be for educational purposes. It's different from giving a child a mobile phone where, what are you doing on mobile phone apart from checking out all the social media apps or chatting with friends you don't need to be chatting with at that time. So from that angle, a phone-free school environment is supposed to be a given. As adults, if we both have our phones here, even instead of us interacting, we would naturally gravitate toward looking at our phones. So if you're in a learning environment, that is a major distraction.
It certainly is. So this is more of a deliberate, purposeful use of even having the gadgets at all, if you do need to have them. That's a very interesting one. Now, next is more outdoor activities, which of course will then, put some pressure on you to stay away from the phones. about that?
So I like the fact that he's giving alternatives. As parents, it's also a struggle to keep them busy at times, especially given busy schedules, especially in the cities, traffic, and just not enough time for you to say, go and play with a friend. But if you have siblings, get them to play. That's the idea. One of the things I do with my son is, if you are hanging out with your friends, no TV. You could watch TV at home alone. Why would you go to your friend's house and go and watch TV when you have just 2 hours here? Play, find things to do. Hide and seek is not a bad thing. When you are bored, come and say you are bored, and we'll create that game and send you off again. But the idea is they have real human engagement, interactions. They know how to settle squabbles. They know what the limit is in terms of wrong interaction. Somebody is bullied. They know what it means because they are interacting and they are learning. If you don't do that in real life, then when it comes to the internet, they don't even know when they are being bullied.
Yeah, which in many ways is beginning to, even in our lives, the phones have taken over. So the human interactions have pretty much lessened. But talking about parents, let's talk about the responsibility around that as well. So there's also the school of thought around this, that is this shirking responsibility away from parents? So if you can monitor what your kids are watching, for instance, is the argument, then that's the responsibility a parent should take.
So I think it goes beyond that. And I mean, as adults, you might not be watching anything bad, but you can be scrolling mindlessly. You can pick up your phone and go on Instagram and say only 5 minutes, and you realize that you've spent 3 hours, right? So it's not just about the content, what you are watching. It's also about the amount of time spent and how it sucks you in, right? So parents can control, and I mean what parents do now, there's some digital controls where you can set the amount of hours or minutes that a child can be on their device. They can block different sites and all. Yes, that's good, but just the whole mindless activity that social media gets us into. You are not looking for anything, you're just randomly seeing what will excite you. It's a challenge. So, and I don't think parents can entirely stop that or control that if you don't limit the use of or access to the internet itself.
Right, and of course there is the issue, of course, also of are you managing your time productively? Is this just a mindless waste of it as well? But of course there's also this question of, is this a generational battle against the advancement of technology, with smartphones being the punching bag here? We also have the advancement of artificial intelligence. Is that going to be the next battle? What do you say to all of this?
So I think it is. I think AI is also still coming, but I sort of believe that the solutions are the same. Get children off devices, get everyone off devices as much as possible, make productive use of them as against mindless use, and then everybody should be fine, because AI will still come with its own challenges. But if you are not on a device, you are not exposed to the challenges around it, you are relating with human beings.
Just in wrapping up, could we speak to some of the positives of, the influence of internet on children here? Are there any positives here?
So I think knowledge, the things that a child can watch a YouTube video and know in 5 minutes, in 2 minutes, we would have taken years or months to read the book, right? So you find there's a lot of educational content. My son was doing something. There's a particular website you go to where you can create an electric circuit. So you would drag the battery, you will know what will happen if you use a higher volt, the lamp will explode. And he's 7. So those are things that, and I mean, an AI can easily teach a child about a circuit easily, and so there's a lot of good. So we're not throwing away the child and the bathwater. We're just saying let's be more productive in our use of the internet.
Oh, absolutely. So that, of course, promotes some sort of critical thinking with this example that you just shared. But can that be done with the child not being supervised? Do you believe, in other words, that just the child interacting with this technology, he's going to be able to develop that skill without me as the parent saying, hey, this is what this is trying to teach you?
So in that case, yes. So the good thing is that he can burn as many bulbs as possible on the app without any impact, right? He can burn as many and he will learn. So he begins to know, oh, if I try this, this is what's going to happen. If I do this. But I think for us as parents, the responsibility of him knowing that that website exists as against the one that doesn't give him value is where we need to go to. And they would enjoy it, because it's what you put in front of them that they know. So he would enjoy, oh, I built this circuit and I have this 10,000 bulbs, or I can power this car. that's how it goes.
So ultimately, you are in support of the professors, alignment on all of this for the greater good of it. Ola, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the Global Business Report today. Many thanks.